Alright, so if you don't know what this is my Millia matchup chart. This is not a tier list. You can think about this however you want, basically, but this is how I feel about Millia's matchups right now. One of the main reasons I'm doing this is I kind of want to be the change that I want to see, right? So a lot of people are like, man, fuck tier lists. Everyone just posts tier lists for views, and you don't actually add anything to the conversation, and you fucking post that shit day one. Like, fuck those people. One, I like mildly disagree with you, and two, to also meet you in the middle, here is this matchup chart, and I'll post a tier list in like a month or two when I think I have a better grasp of everything. At the bottom, we have lovely Millia there doing her best every day to just play the game. Let's start with mystery and then work our way to advantage. Usually you would start from top to bottom, but hey, again, I'm different. I'm built different. I also want to start at the bottom because someone in the stream chat was just like, you must not play a lot against Geo, right? Interestingly enough, I actually have a ton of matchup experience against this character. I have a lot of matchup experience against this character, and I've also personally started learning how to play her also, for a couple of reasons. But despite that, I'm still like, I just really don't know what to call the matchup. Like, I feel uncomfortable. That's the way I would put it. I feel very uncomfortable when I play against her, but I don't necessarily think she's bad. You know what I mean? Like, when I say she's bad, not Gio's bad, I don't necessarily think it's a bad matchup, right? There's a couple of good things and bad things about Millia versus Gio. So one, Millia can keep up with Gio's speed. That's good. Two, Gio's a light character, so she's really easy to mix up, and you get a lot more mix-up opportunities than other characters. These are probably the best things. And then three, Gio, when she whiffs, is in a general worse position against Millia than other characters just because Millia is so fast. Those are probably like the three best things about the match. Now, the worst things about the match is that one, despite Millia being faster than Gio, the way that Gio is fast is really spooky. Really spooky. And to show this off, let us return to the wonderful world of Guilty Gear. So Gio is like one of the fastest characters in the game, but she doesn't run. She has this sliding dash, and they buffed this again. Millia, obviously, her run is really fast and shit, and her backstep is really fast. It's basically instant. Now, Gio, even though she doesn't run, she has this, but she can cancel it earlier than the previous patch. Like, she cancels this really early with buttons. So, the real spooky thing, and it's gonna sound weird because of where Chipp is. I'll go over Chipp when I'll mention, like, why I don't feel this way against Chipp. But, like, she is sliding at you with hitboxes that you can't really react to, that are good, that everything leads into a knockdown, and some of the returns she has on some of her hits are really high. Like, if you get hit by this counter hit, or this counter hit, or this counter hit, you're exploding. Like, you can't take that hit. And also, she builds meter faster than you, and when she has meter, she gets better the more meter that she has. She gets a small buff at 50% meter and 100% meter. So long games don't favor her. Her combos are mostly short combos, which this is not good for Millia. When a character has mostly short combos that do a lot of damage. So like this is like what? It was like 4 hits into super. So this did like, look how much damage that did. There was only a little bit of risk. And now also Gio's in positive state. So like getting the wall broken against Gio, like if she breaks the wall against you, it's bad. So like my main like point of discomfort against her is the sliding hitbox and like the returns she could get, where like a Chipp or an enemy Millia, like they have to actually like run at me, which I can, you know, gauge effectively, where this character is like, what's good, or what's good, or like what's good, you know what I mean? She's just really explosive. So I don't really know how to call this matchup. So then there's Anji. So Anji, the main mystery is just like, I haven't played against him enough. It's the opposite of Gio, where like Gio I played against a lot, and I'm just like, I don't know. Where like Anji, the times I play against Anji, it always goes pretty well, and like she's really fast. She can get around his stuff. She has pokes that are like relatively safe to the spin, so like him using spin to like go through moves is not as good against her. She of course could set play him really well. The only match flow problem I feel like is just that his guts are high, and she's not as good. She's not as good. She's not good at killing people who are almost dead. An old strategy in Guilty Gear would be like you would make a special combo for when people are almost dead. But in this game, it is hard to do. In this game, it's actually just better to have a high damage character rather than have a special combo for that. It's actually like you basically can't, you know, there's not really many like that. So him is just like, I actually need more matchup experience. So those are my two mystery characters, right? Then we have the disadvantage, and they are basically all the heavyweights except for Goldlewis. So it's Potemkin, Leo, and Nago. And each one of these characters have a different issue that Millia has to deal with. By the way, I think Potemkin would be kind of big disadvantage in the previous patch. Right now, I just think it's like a little disadvantage because one of her major problems against Potemkin has been fixed thanks to the Mirage buff. So what is that? Let us see. In the previous patch, there was two really big issues. One was damage, but not like damage straight up. It was damage and resources. That was like the main thing. I'll revisit that in a sec. The other is actually this thing. So let me set it up. There's a relatively common situation before where you would get like this, right? So if you're a Millia player, you know that you probably won't get a cross up at like certain ranges. So let's say I do like this. So this was so obnoxious. This was super obnoxious to deal with before. It came up in a lot of spots, and there is a clear response to it. It's not like she didn't have a response to it, but what it turns into is you have to call an Mega Fist or not. So he either blocks high or does that, which was pretty annoying to deal with. He could use Mega Fist to get out of a ton of pressure also, and she didn't have a lot of good ways to bait it. His damage is higher than hers, of course. He has a lot of life. Again, the guts thing is a big factor as well. And the last thing was, but this is less of an issue now, was that sometimes you have sequences like this. This is how I'll put it. Sometimes you have sequences where like, you know, you get like this a bunch. If I just hit someone with this over and over and over, right? Eventually they'll die. But the issue is Potemkin has the best life, so if you're not getting like big mix-ups on him, then you're just giving him free resource. You're giving him free meter, free bursts, like even though you're hitting him. Take this into account if you play Potemkin. Even though the current situation you might be in is bad, it's not so bad because you're not taking a lot of damage and you're getting resource. So even though you're hitting him, he's getting his resource back. Where the ways he hits you, like this, does not give a lot of burst back, and then his B&B, his main B&B, is 4 hits and it does that much. So it's one of those cases where Millia doesn't get a lot of burst, but you're giving the opponent a lot of burst. That's really bad. It's better in this version because not only does she have ways to deal with the Mega Fist problem, but then also you just do more damage overall compared to before. You just have more damage opportunities compared to before because of buffs. It just made the matchup like slightly better, but I still think it's like not a great match. So Leo is the biggest one because actually like the matchup is kind of comfy this time as far as like actually playing it and dealing with him on knockdown. The big problem is resource also. So two things: DPRC, and she has better countermeasures against that than before, but DPRC is one, and the other huge one is what happens when you burst. Similarly to Potemkin, there's a couple of spots in Leo's combos where they'll hard bait your burst, and hard baiting burst is pretty decent return in this game when you think about it. Like in a normal anime game, hard baiting a burst could go badly. You can recover in the air in other anime games. So if someone like really tries to read your burst and you just don't do it, you'll tech in the air, you have all your options, blah blah blah. In this game, you're gonna fall to the ground. So Leo players and a couple other characters are incentivized pretty hard to bait burst sometimes. And if Leo baits Millia's burst in round 1, like hard baits her burst, and she loses that round, she's not getting her burst back until the end of round 2. So if Leo baits your burst in round 1 and then you play the second game normally and he hits you, you just die, and because she has no reversal options. So even though Like, her neutral's pretty good against him. You have to play super, super lame. Like, I actually have not been playing it lame enough. Like, you have to play really, really lame. And she has good, like, knockdown against him. Like, stuff that's been developed against him. The snowball effect is, like, really, really, really extreme. It can happen, like, instantly. Potemkin is also the same, where it's, like, you can be playing it really well, really lame, really slow. And then, like, one wrong thing, and you just die, like, instantly. So, this is one of those, like, you really can't mess up. And it's, like, if you're playing someone who might be on the same skill level as you, and they get extra chances and you don't, like, you're just overall, you're gonna lose out overall, right? Like, you have to actually be a significant amount better than them if that type of situation happens. And then the last one is Nago. So Nago is a weird one because, like, on paper she deals with everything fine. Like, she can get around stuff. It's not easy for him to pin her down. He can't get out of mix-ups. There's actually special mix-ups that only work on him. There's a bunch of good stuff about fighting Nago. There's a couple of issues about why I feel like it's disadvantaged. One is she can't kill people who are almost dead, and he has almost as good defense as Potemkin, and his guts are high. There are countless times where I'm like, I'm doing my sequence, I have Nago his back to the wall, I cash out on Winger because I'm like, I just need this motherfucker to die. He endures. And then when you do a super, so, like, what are your options? It's like you break the wall without super and you have the meter, he's still alive, or you break the wall with super and you just gave him a bunch of meter, but he's one hit away from dying, but he has resource. That happens a lot against him. It takes a lot of hits to kill him. If he hits you like once or twice, you're gonna die. If you get command grab, she can't do anything about it. Once you get command grab by him, it's probably round over. Certain counter hits that he has is like the return is just massive, so they're willing to just gamble. This is the one where, like, you could do everything right, where, like, Leo, it's like, it's kind of hard to do everything right. You have to play, like, super lame and stuff. Potemkin's like, you have to play super lame and stuff. Millia vs. Nago's like, you're beating them the entire time, and then they guess on something right, or they take one risk after you were right like 4 or 5 times, and then they win, they beat you that round, and then they go, GG, shake my hand. So these three are pretty rough. It ends up mostly being like damage plus and actually finishing the round, where, like, some of the other characters that I'll go through, I'll mention, like, why, even if it might seem hard, why I don't think it's so hard. We go to even matches are cool. We like even matches. These are the 5-5s. This is the anything goes, you know, you can win, they can win, they have good stuff, you have good stuff. So I'm gonna start with Ram, because that's probably the weird one. I think, like, people who are new to the game are probably like, man, like, fucking Ram, can't beat Ram, disjointed buttons Ram. So let us actually return to Guilty Gear to look at Ram Lethal. The main things probably the main thing that bothers people about Ram versus Millia is definitely, like, the buttons. But these moves, as I talked about a bunch of videos, are highly committal. Like, not only can you get over them, you can roll through them. She really has to commit to them. So she has to use these buttons a lot, and then, like, control with this a little bit more and try to, like, maneuver around. You're playing for the middle of the screen here. So basically the idea of this match is that if Ram gets to, like, here, she's winning. If Millia is here up until obviously here, she is mostly winning. And, like, it's a very position heavy game where the main 2 things you don't want to happen is this, right? Because, you know, we've all I hit the wrong button. I don't play Ram. The main, of course, this, you don't want this to happen, and of course you don't want her to break the wall, which I did not do because I'm not a professional gamer. There we go. You don't want this to happen, because once this happens, there is no hope. There is no hope. The sub you don't want this to happen is also this, because you're in trouble if she gets that. But it's just those 3 things. Those are, like, the Ram is very strong situations. Besides that, Millia is mostly fine and you're schmoving. And if you knock her down, again, she's light, so she's really easy to mix up. You get mix-ups more often where you don't get them on other characters. Ram doesn't have high defense, like, especially high defense, especially not comparing her to heavyweights. So you're in a good spot here. This is one about just, like, discipline and doing the absolute best you can to not get cornered. It sounds like I'm kind of downplaying it, but, like, any sets you see, I mean, you can just use me versus Super Noon as an example. Me versus Super Noon, we played twice in tournaments so far. Once at EVO, once at ECT. What happened in the game at ECT? I got cornered. What happened in the game at Evo? Didn't get cornered. That's literally it. That if you don't get cornered, she can't meme you. If you get cornered, she's gonna meme you. That's just it. If you hit her, you're going to meme her. Millia is more safe. Her pressure is safer than it used to be. So there's less opportunities for Ram to like steal turns and take massive damage with motorboat, as we lovingly call it. So there's Kai. Kai also is a little tricky for people who are just starting. The main thing for him here is once you learn how to use S-Disc against him a little like he can't use his big pokes too liberally. Like he can't use 2S and // too much, or even like 5H. Once you get to that point, then there's like an engaging neutral game that he has problems dealing with. He does a lot of damage though. His return's kind of high. Sometimes special moves can be kind of hard to deal with, especially like 50-meter stun dipper, or if he gets you to the corner and has you in shock state, that can be pretty tough to escape. The good news is, out of all the characters with DPs, his is the worst overall. Like he has good use for DP obviously, but his is the worst overall. You might have to tweak your mix-ups just a little bit, but like it's fine and dandy. Like this is a very once you learn how to play this match, it's a very doable match. Soul, this is the one I've gotten memed for since the game came out, but I have not changed my opinion that this is a 5-5 matchup still. And honestly, if they didn't like give him stuff, like if they only nerfed him, if they do what devs would normally do and just nerf him over and over, by now this would be like a 6-4 for her. But they protect his legs. So even with the neutral changes, it's still a pretty engaging neutral match, just like Kai. It's like you have to use different neutral tools, move around the screen. His DP can be a little annoying to deal with. You have to practice against that, but it's not so bad. And the other benefit is that Capel wrecks his DP. So like there are spots where like against Leo, for example, when Leo has 50-meter, you need to like double jump or something to get away from his DP. Where Soul, you can just put that Capel on there and he's gonna go right into it and you get a combo. It's really nice. So like I hear mixed things about this matchup. I think there's some Zato players who think she beats him, and then others who think he beats her. I'm kind of in the middle. You need to not be autopilot, because if you're autopilot against Zato, he's gonna do oppose and 2H and just destroy you. That shit does 80%. You can't get hit by that. He has a little bit more neutral control and mix-up opportunity just because he gets to use Eddie a little bit more. But overall, Millia's maneuverability is really good against him. He can't really float around the way he might against other characters, like bait anti-airs, because her close slash is too good and her jump's too good. And his defense is not good and his guts are not good. So he has like kind of low life, and at the end of his life bar, I might be talking out my ass, but I think he has 0 guts, like straight up. Where like Anji's the best, right? Anji has like 5 guts. I think Nago has like 3 guts. So this is like the special defense modifier at the end of your life bar. Okay, so technically, by the way, somebody's gonna be in the comments like, "Where's not the life bar? It affects your life bar." I'm saying it like this to keep it simple. You can realistically. This can happen where you randomly hit him and kill him in 2 mix-ups. That can happen. If you're close to having meter for Septum, that can legitimately happen. May also, again, I feel like I keep repeating myself, right? Might seem annoying, but it's fine. You need to be good at anti-airing against her. It's probably the most important thing. And also, there's a couple of things that are easier to deal with. Mostly Dolphin is easier to deal with, but Millia was already good against Dolphin. Mostly because of her ability to jump and dash block. I've demonstrated this many times, but we will return to Guilty Gear to show this once again. I like when we talk about her and like how to get out of pressure from her too. It always makes me bring up one of the angry DMs I got about me clickbaiting people over the attack level system and saying that, oh, you just said that the high block stun moves have high block stun and the low block stun moves have a low block stun. That doesn't mean shit, but it does mean a lot because there's math behind it. So this is the main thing that like helps you on defense against me. A lot of melee players like doing like this, right? Or they like doing, oh, I got delayed a little more. Okay, we're option number 3. Okay, so 3 options. We got immediate S Dolphin, delay S Dolphin, and H Dolphin. So if you hold up after a bunch of her normals and she does fast S Dolphin, you just block. The S Dolphin is -5, so you have the advantage. If she delays and hits you, damn, that sucks, you got hit, but she's -2 on hit, so it's fine. You still have the advantage. It's all cool. Side note, if she has meter, you get hit by this, you're dead. So pay attention to her meter. You can't get hit by Dolphin when she has meter. And then if she does H is 25 frames, you're gone. Even the highest attack level move in the game, which is 4, attack level 4, is not going to catch you. So knowing the attack level system helps. Millia benefits from this against Mei. Mei has to really change her pressure against Millia to like keep her turn in general. Now on the other hand though, Mei has something that's really good that makes this even, right? And makes it scary and even. And what is that? It's this. More than anything else. This is the equalizer. They keep generally nerfing Mei's like moves. Like Mei had like a better 2H. Sorry, that's not 2H. That's 2S. Forward slash before, so that like Mei can't like totally super flail. But this move, which has always been a good move, but like in this game specifically, if you get counter hit by this move and it's huge and disjointed and really easy to hit confirm because of the bomb collect counter hit. Right, if you get hit by this, GG. Like, GG for sure. So, like, this match basically ends up being anti-air her properly, avoid the Dolphins, defend the best you can, and Millia's kind of good at getting out of it. Plus, Mei has to really overextend to keep you in pressure. But be careful because they know it's so good, they'll do it from like in like places that don't make sense. Like, I'll be chilling here and I'll just be whiffing on this because they're like, man, like, yeah, I'm not anywhere near you, but if I got a whiff, just like a crumb of 5H counter hit, you're dead. So fuck it, I'm just gonna press it like 3 times before I keep playing the game. Okay, Ino. So a lot of people actually think Millia beats Ino, and in theory, Millia does beat Ino. It's one of those. It's a little bit like Nago, except the match is even and not bad. So like in theory, Millia does beat Ino. So there's actually a lot of good stuff about Millia versus Ino compared to other characters. One, Millia has a good backdash, a fast backdash too. So fast, goes for basically instant. That's good for fighting Ino. 2, Millia is fast and can get to spots that other characters can't get very easily. 3, close slash to go. So like close slash deals with jumping and doing stroke at the same time. So you're covering multiple options at the same time. Normally Ino players are either trying to use the low profile stroke against you or the hover dash that goes over lows against you to kind of make you guess into neutral, where Millia doesn't have to do that very often. That's another really good thing. And of course, if you catch Ino, she's a light character, so she's easy to mix up. You get more mix-up opportunities, all those things. The issue of fighting Ino, so there's a couple of problems. So one is her damage output is pretty good. So like her average damage in the game overall is probably not considered to be super high in this game, but Millia has the second lowest life. So like anytime someone plays a character like, man, my character does no damage, you will do plenty of damage to Millia. So just be happy. There's at least like a couple of characters where you just delete them, and Millia is one of them. That's one. 2 is how volatile Ino is. So like at the beginning of the game, Millia wins, and at the end of the game, Ino wins. And what do I mean by that? At the end of the game, Ino has Fortissimo. She has meter, right? She's really good with meter. And Millia doesn't have a DP, so the only responses you really have to Fortissimo is to air throw it, or hope that the Ino goes too far with the dash and 6P. Let me show you an example of what I mean. Ino kind of got that crazy girl eyes, by the way, but I'm kind of about it, not gonna lie. You know what they say about girls with the crazy eye, right? Anyway, so this is what happens. Okay, this is me trying 6P. I'm just gonna get smoked over and over. Even when I get a successful one, right? So this is what happens if she goes a little bit higher. Okay. Now we'll go even higher. Okay. See? So the height of the Fortissimo will affect whether or not you can do the main safe countermeasure of 6P. If you have a DP, you can just DP this pretty easily, but of course Millia does not have one, nor does she need one. She would be pretty cursed. She would be pretty cursed if she had a DP. But what this means is like Ino has really aggressive swings in the round where like you could be running the round fine and one gold burst or like one burst in the corner, because Millia is actually one of the characters that you can burst in the corner the most in the game just because of how her mix-ups work. So like one burst in the corner or a gold burst, or just like she just has 50 meter and you pick wrong, or if she even catches you too, by the way, because if she catches you on block, this is someone told me this is not technically a guard crush, by the way. I don't know what the truth is, but she's heavily advantageous no matter what this is. So if you get hit, then you get hit, and then if you block it, she gets another 50-50, and her post wall break situation is really good. So she can snowball you really, really fast. She's very volatile. Another thing that sucks about fighting Ino is that there's a lot of countermeasures to her stuff, but everything is pretty fast. It's actually a pretty common theme in Guilty Gear period, like the series period. It's a little bit less pronounced in this game compared to previous Guilty Gear games, but it's this issue of like everything's really fast, everything has a response, but everything's really fast. So it's like, can you do it? So for example, it's, here's a common one that Ino players do, right? Ino players do that a lot. That JD is apparently like -2 or -3, but are you pressing that button fast enough that time? Like, are you? Like, do you got that or no? Do you? I don't know, right? It's just like on the like borderline reaction time spot, right? The main countermeasure would be the fuzzy mash it, but she has this that she could do, which is a really big return. You gotta pick in the moment, and when you let every time you let her get this, that's a fat L. That's actually a fat L. I know of Ino players where like when they do this and someone mashes, they get mad, but it's like, son, like honestly, like you gotta defend yourself. You can't just sit there and take Ino shit, because she's gonna keep on taking turns on like this very like +2, -2, and eventually she's gonna hit you. She's built to hit you, and once that happens, it goes out of control. Like you just really can't. Like you have to challenge. You really, really have to challenge. And Millia, the way she likes to win on defense is to not challenge, is to push you out and use movement options or something, like pick safe stuff. But Ino makes you take risks. The last really annoying thing about fighting Ino that like helps Ino versus Millia is we're going to again revisit the burst. Ino has a really, this is actually the only thing I dislike about Ino in this version. I really, really fucking hate this thing. One thing professional gamer doesn't like about Ino. Okay, anyway. Okay, I fucking hate this. I hate this shit. So let's say you get hit low and they do this, right? Her 6H is one of those like pop-up things that causes a blue beat. So like, but if you burst this, she fucking takes your burst. But this normally is a burst save point. So you kind of have to wait for it to happen like this, and you can't hold up and hit stun because you're stuck. And this seems to be like some type of guard crush thing, so you don't push her away, and she's plus in that situation. So it's like, if she's correct on that, you better believe Millia's not gonna get her fucking burst back until the end of round 2. And that's the game. You can't, like, recurring theme in this, you can't let people take your burst. It's really, really fucking hard for Millia to win, because she doesn't have the life to get her burst back unless you stall at the end of the game to get as much burst meter back as possible. But that's mainly why I've been thinking it's even. Like, Millia has a bunch of good stuff and a really, really good stuff against the character, and of course once you touch her, she's gone. But Ino also has a bunch of really good and honest, and some things kind of obnoxious stuff. And then at the end of the round, when she has meter, she's just super, super strong. So then there's Goldlewis. So for a long time I had him like Area 51 or like, oh, I don't know, and like stuff like that. But this time I think I have a pretty clear image of how she does against him. This actually mostly came from learning Goldlewis for a reason I will not tell anyone ever. And baseline one I got you is mostly that I said that about Anji, that how I don't have a lot of match experience. Basically, the majority of my Goldlewis experience has come from getting stream sniped by some Goldlewis players, but like, it's for the better. Like, I need the experience, so I learned Goldlewis before that, and I feel like the only reason I am fighting Goldlewis well is because I have my knowledge from playing him. This is one of those on paper Millia just smokes him because like he can't catch her, but all it takes is one counter hit 268, or one your back's to the wall and Goldlewis is standing there, or like Goldlewis threw you near the corner, and like that's it. That's it. GG. And similarly to a lot of characters I mentioned, if he takes your burst, but admittedly for Goldlewis, it's not easy for him to take your burst. There's only like one. The main spot is if he counter hits you with 268. That's probably like the hardest thing to actually burst. So you don't really have to worry about that. You don't really have to worry about that. If he does take your burst though, that's super GG's, because like his main combo parts are, again, not a lot of hits. They do a ton of damage. You're not gonna get your burst back to the end of the second round, and that's just bad looks, especially for a character like that. You need to get him off you sometimes when you get into his favorable position. Then there's Chipp. So Chipp, some people might say I'm capping on this one, but I basically fought this for the entirety of this game. Not even this version, this game. Like since Strife came out, I was like, yeah, I think this match even since the game came out. This is mostly because of stuff that he's lost from previous Guilty Gear games, and if Millia had more of her old moveset, she probably would just beat him. So what is she good at against him? So the ground game is actually pretty good. She has like really big kicks, bigger than his, so you can hit stuff really easily. Like you can hit forward slash really easily. You can hit his 2K and 5K really easily. She moves in the air in shorter bursts too than him. So his air dash is pretty long. Millia's like a really short one if you haven't seen it. So you can really adjust your spacing in a much more precise way compared to Chipp. And then the big one, and this is the recurring point from previous versions of Guilty Gear, when Chipp jumps and Millia does not jump, Millia has a massive advantage. But the reverse is also true, right? When Millia jumps and Chipp does not jump, Chipp has a massive advantage. The main thing about Chipp, though, is that they like to float more, because he has 3 jumps, J2H, all that stuff. Where Millia players also like to do this, but you just need to resist the urge to do it against him, because he's going to run up on you. Defending his pressure is pretty tough. He has the gamma pressure. It's a little bit easier to deal with in this patch because she has the 5-frame normal, and then he has the worst life in the game, and they buffed Millia's HP. So there are cases where I've 2-touched Chipp. Most of my normal Chipp rounds are 1 hit and then like 2 guesses if he doesn't have a burst. So it feels pretty good at this point, and they keep nerfing him without like giving him too much. Like he's still strong, but like other characters, I feel like they give them like stuff. Like May has like the new combo routes and stuff, even though they nerf her normals and stuff. And then Chipp, like they just don't give him stuff for the most part. So all these things benefit Millia. So Jacko, I don't have a lot to say about her. I wanted to put her in mystery, but I'm kind of calling it like slight advantage for Millia. Millia is too fast. Like Jacko has to preempt a lot of stuff. Like any character that has to preempt a lot of stuff to play the game against Millia is gonna have problems against her, because Millia basically doesn't have to do anything. Like you just sit there and wait for them to do stuff, kind of float around and wait for them to commit to something hard, and you punish them. And the only time Jacko generally gets to set up minions safely is like after bursting and after like actually hitting Millia. She has to like beat Millia in neutral straight up. The good thing for Jacko though is that when Jacko does get her advantage state, she's incredibly strong. Like incredibly strong. But the neutral, of course, it's Guilty Gear, so the neutral is the deciding factor of who's going to get their advantageous situation. And then we'll do the last 2, right? So these are like the flat advantage matchups. So you have Faust and Axl. I'll put it like this. Axl, Faust, and Jacko all have the same main issue against Millia, where they can't with a bunch of stuff against Millia. Like they can try. So Axel's gonna mostly be doing a lot of like 5K, 2K, JS. Like it's not like there's not buttons he can't press, but a lot of the buttons he likes to use on other characters, he can't easily use on Millia, right? He can't easily do that. Faust is the same thing. So Faust, he has a bunch of good moves. He's got like 5K, 2P, 5P, 6P, 2S, 2H. He's got a bunch of good moves in different situations. The main issue, again, is that he generally has to preempt. He has to preempt his normals, and Millia, if you with a big move, she's gonna run in and punish, just mix your shit. So that's like the main theme of the characters that I feel like she beats. Kind of circling back to Ino real quick, like because people think Millia beats her. Like Ino doesn't really do stuff that you're like, oh, she whiffed this, I'm gonna punish it. By the way, like I think like the probably like the biggest theme of characters that Millia just flat out beats is like they just can't use their common buttons and things they want to do so much because Millia's too fast and she's gonna punish them. That's like the common theme for all of them. Also, these characters all have low life, and they don't have reversals, or I shouldn't say they don't have it because they do. They don't have good reversals for fighting Millia, and a lot like Axl, you can two touch Axl, you can like two touch Faust, you can two touch Jacko if the round goes well. So I think those are like probably her most favorable.